Hi, everybody. What I wanted to talk about today is talking about the tools that you need to bring more changes to your lives. For those of you who wants to change, obviously, one of the biggest tools that I recently found or discovered is really in order to change yourself. An easy way to look at it is to look at yourself in a third party. Meaning, if you think about what you would say to someone who's in your shoes, someone who's having the same question as you have, it makes life a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier to answer. And the reason why I discovered that, and the reason why I want to share with you guys, is my own experience. I've helped lots of people throughout my past, and when it comes down to others, I've always said that I was a preacher, not a doer. Always slower to do it on my own than to preach. I know how, I just don't do it. And I came to the conclusion that the biggest reason, I think, is, anyways, for me, was that when you look at yourself, your mind, for some reason, already have in storage all the excuses needed not to do it. Has all the excuses to entertain your fears. And those fears comes from your past, not your present, not your future. But they're much present in your present. So what I realized was, if I can disconnect myself from the equation, meaning if I look at myself in the third party and say, okay, I have fears. Why? If it was somebody else, what would I tell them? And then you listen. And for some reason, in my case anyways, when I do that, I disconnect from it. My thoughts may come out, my fears, but I don't entertain them. I don't pay attention to them simply because it's not me. It's for someone else. And they're not as frequent, they're not as quick because it's not me. I also realized that my ego is out of the equation since it's not about me, it's about someone else. And it makes it easier to pinpoint what needs to be changed, or what is your blockage, or what caused the fear, what's the reason of the fear, and makes it a lot easier to have fun with it and make fun of it. Why am I afraid of such a thing? Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Why, it's not going to happen. You can make fun of it. And then you come out with options that otherwise you would have not been able to find, simply because, like I said, your ego gets in the way. And it's not, when I talk about ego, it's not being it's a subconscious effect that affects you. Like, it's not on purpose. But that ego is always about what other people will think of me. What will others say about that? What will others say to me about it? Most of the fears come from the ego being afraid of what people will say about you. And the funniest thing about that is, if you stop and think about your fears, in most cases, I'm not saying all, but they're about, it's based on what people will say about you, like judging you. And the funniest thing about it is that we stop ourselves to analyze and wonder and worry about what people will say about us, people that we don't know, people that we'll never know, people that has nothing to do in our life, people who has no effect nonsoever in our life, yet we let them change our course of our life. Why? If the person in your life means something to you, I can understand, okay, maybe I want to look at it, and number one, person that are close to you and person who loves you, and I'm not saying love in a romantic way, but just love, period, will have constructive things to say about you, not in a mean way, not laugh at you. They're gonna share their opinion, and that's fine. Then you can sit down and think about them and figure it out. But generally speaking, we're afraid to be judged from people we don't know. Why? Same thing as why do we follow people we don't know in things that does not fit in our life? Why do we feel we have to fit in? No, for years I felt like I didn't fit in, and it was a burden. And man, did I ever try to fit in. I got to a point I think I was doing pretty good at fitting in, but wasn't happy about it. I wasn't myself, trying to constantly think on how people would react in such and such cases. I don't look at life the same way. How it's not natural for me to think that way. What was a burden back then is now my strength. I would never change the way I am. And neither would I change any of my friends or anybody else for that matter. Like everybody else is their own person. But for me now, I don't see it as a burden. I see it as a strength of being able to look at challenges and turn them into opportunities, look at negative and be able to turn them into positive, understanding life in a sense that it's so much more than just about us. Life is not about me. It's so much bigger than us. But yet you have to stop and think and realize and see it. But to come back with the tools, it's a lot easier if you look at yourself in a third party. Sometimes taking a deep breath and just taking a sip or two or three of a cold glass of water will cool you down. If you have anger or you have anxiety or whatever the case may be, it will calm you down where you can actually assess what's happening, and then being able to step out of the equation, find out what's happening, get what the best options would be, and then you can make a decision. And sometimes it might take a day or two to come up with the best decision. Whatever it is, it's your own speed. But like I said, it's really about, to me anyways, it did help me, and I hope I'm sharing this with you guys in hope that it helps others work on themselves and change things about themselves, and being able to speed up the process on instead of taking 20 years to change, you may change in a couple of years, you know what I mean? So it's about it's really about sharing what I found, and really hoping that whomever out there wants to change can. But once again, it's about loving yourself, guys. Love yourself as much as you can, and love will change everything. I think society right now is in a place where it's because of people saying it's all about me, or love yourself first, etc. I think we're missing the point of, yes, it is about me, but when you do get to the place where it's really about you, and you really love yourself 100%, you have love to give to others. You don't become selfish. It's totally the opposite. The more you have, the more you want to give. Imagine, for example, I'll use money for an example. If you have $1,000 in your bank account versus $3 billion in your bank account, if I have 1,000, if you ask me for, I don't know, $10,000, I'm not going to be able to give you any because I barely have any. But if you ask me for $1,000 and I have $3 billion in the bank account, I can give you without even expecting it to get it back. Love is the same. The more love you have for yourself, the more you have to give. And the more you have for yourself, you give without expectation of getting back. And when you can give without expectation, that's when it's coming back to you tenfold. It's coming back from every angle, even angles that you never thought of. And the funniest thing is, the more love you have for yourself, the more love you get back without expectation. Then you become confident. The more confident you have in yourself, the more confidence you have towards others. You don't trust others, you just trust yourself of knowing if you can't trust them. You see how it becomes not about them anymore, it becomes about you. The more trust you have, you trust your guts to know if that person is trustworthy or not. But that's not their problem, that's yours. You decide. And then, if you missed, if you think that person is trustworthy and you do, and they take advantage of you, they don't take advantage of you because you will learn from that. Therefore, what they took from you, they give the learning part to you. So you're not really losing anything. So being afraid of being taken advantage of don't exist anymore. And the more trust you have towards yourself, the less fears you have. Now challenges become opportunities. Then opportunities comes more and more and more, opens tons of doors. And you look at life a lot different. And then you experience true happiness. You have a life, a full life that you can enjoy the moment, the present moment. So on that note, guys, I think that's enough for today, but hope you're enjoying, hope you listen, hope you join me back next time for my next video. On that note, guys, I love you guys. Talk to you later.